This whiteboard is the single best purchase I've made as a game developer. For the last 5 years, I've used this for pretty much every day. Not only to organize my thoughts, which I think is pretty obvious, but also to communicate my ideas to my team so that we can work better together, to manage meetings, because as you know, meetings can get out of hand very quickly, and just to have a little bit more of fun on my work, because yeah, I just think not getting one of these is a no-brainer because it's fun and it's cheap. Like, why wouldn't you get one? So if you are a game developer and you are low on budget, which I guess you are, as we all are, and you are looking for a cheap yet powerful tool to improve your workspace, I think you are gonna love this. So yeah, let's not dwell too much and let me tell you why I think this is great and how you can apply it to game development. For the record, I'm gonna be using my tablet here, just for the sake, because it's easier to record my screen and my voice at the same time, but yeah. But it's pretty much the thing. I'm gonna be using the tablet just for recording the video, but you can use a whiteboard. It's pretty much the same and you don't have to spend the stupid amount of money that tablets cost these days. Alright, so first of all, why are whiteboards so useful? Because if you look around, pretty much any team uses these tools. Not only in game development, but also on software engineering and even on marketing purposes. And I think it all comes down that we humans are visual learners. We have a big part of our brain dedicated only to process visual information. Like, I have recently read an article from PubMed Central, I think it was the name, which were taking a look at the current research we have around how we humans process visual information, and they concluded that we have 50% of our brain only dedicated to visual learning. And when they studied how people learn only using text material or even using pictures, sounds, etc., they found out that visual learning improves the cognitive process by, I don't know, it was nuts, I think it was like 400% or something like that. And if I remember correctly, this was because when we learn something visually, we are involving more parts of our brain. We are recognizing patterns, we are also memory encoding the things on our brain, if that makes sense. And we need to have some kind of spatial awareness of what is happening around us. If you think about it, the sense that we use the most on everyday life is our eyes. So it makes sense that the brain is prepared to understand better the information consumed by that sense. It's like when we see something visually, we usually understand it holistically, which just means that we understand it all at once instead of part by part, which is actually what we do when we are reading. Like, for example, if I were to describe you a round object which is white and it has little lines on both green and red, it's like this process is much slower to understand than you simply looking at the volleyball ball I have right there. And you can just imagine how awful it is to explain some video game concepts to other people only using written medium. Like, if you were to explain to someone how you will, I don't know, implement an UI for leveling up, it's much easier to just take your whiteboard and start drawing boxes. Like, we are gonna have a big screen and we are gonna show the player 3 skills that he can level up, and we are gonna have, I don't know, like a level up text here and a little cross symbol here. Like, this is much easier to understand, both for you and for the other person, than simply saying that you are gonna have a Kanban and then you are gonna have 3 boxes and then you are gonna have a text and a plus sign, etc, etc. But the nice thing about having something to write on is that we don't go into autopilot mode in our brain, if that makes sense. Like, I constantly find myself on the loophole of getting a big mechanic to work and then worrying too much about the details without thinking about the big picture. Like, for example, the last mechanic I worked on, which was the controller events on the PS5 controller, like the rumbling, the lights, the speaker, etc. When I started with the mechanic, I literally came to a place in which I was thinking, okay, I need this code to handle multiple events, so I need a lot of different paths connected to each other.
But this is going to be used by every part of the game, so I need the code to be decoupled. And yeah,
we need both programmers and designers to set the configuration, and then we need also artists to add their effects to the lights, but also the sound teams will be able to add their own sounds. Yeah, but how will I even test this? It only works on the PS5 itself, and then if I don't complete this in time, we cannot move forward to the next mechanic, and the master is already delayed.
Like, you know the feeling, you've been there, I'm sure. But when I stopped for a goddamn moment and started drawing diagrams on my whiteboard, I realized that, okay, I have the main controller events module, and then I can connect it to the engine so that the design team can start designing their things that smart people do. And then we have also connected to the engine itself so that only programmers can enter that piece. And I just need to find technologies for both this link and this one. So yeah, it might seem like a little thing, but seeing these boxes drawn is kind of relaxing for me, because I don't see anymore like abstract things that we need to implement somehow. I see specific boxes which are connected to each other. And I don't know if this is only true for me, but I find this much more fun to do. It's like, Writing code is all and well, but I don't know, I'm a creative person and I like drawing things and have a little bit of fun. I can add colors to my diagrams and I can show them to other people so that they understand it better. It's like, for example, here in this diagram we have right here, we can maybe change the color so that we know that this is going to be the design responsibility. Then we have blue for programming or gameplay or something else. And then we have purple for here for the core team. And then if we need to write, I don't know, possible threads for the mechanics, we can just draw them on red. It's like, it's much more enjoyable to write these things down than to simply write a Jira ticket somewhere. And if you remember my video about the scheduling, which is gonna be linked right here, by the way, the more we can find fun on our job, I feel the better for us because we need less rest time. Like, I find so many people needing to rest a couple of hours every night and then not having enough time for hobbies, and they just need to binge the Squid Game season 1 on one go because they are so destroyed from the work. And I've been there, I understand that feeling. But doing little things like this one, like drawing diagrams on a whiteboard, or I don't know, scheduling fun with your teammates, or working in a place which is visually appealing, like I try to do myself. Yeah, the light turned off by itself again. This is maddening for me. Okay, back to the fucking video we were recording. Where was I? Oh yeah, having fun with your work. Yeah, if you can find little ways like this one to make your work more fun and energizing, I think you're gonna have a great time on the work and then you're gonna have more energy on the afternoon. But yeah, I'm getting all over the place, so yeah, go check out the video if you want to know more. Okay, so let's say that you are gonna get a whiteboard, because I think it's a no-brainer. It's like $5 or $10, so yeah, there's no point in not getting one. And you're a game developer and you want to know how to apply this tool to your workday. So the first thing that I usually use this tool for is to explain, usually to people who don't program, complex tasks, like abstract tasks. Okay, so let's say, for example, that I was having a conversation with you and I wanted to explain to you how I'm building the last mechanic I did on the Tintin game, the character viewer, which is basically a place in which you can see the models of the game, like the Resident Evil 4 remake. Okay, if I were to tell you just the technical explanation of the mechanic, it will be something like, okay, the character viewers is a separate environment
which player can access to the main menu, and it's basically an sphere with a material and a post-process which blocks the skyfall, the lights, etc. And inside it we are going to show data entries, multi-models,
That's a little bit complicated to understand, especially because we programmers speak on more complex language than we used to. Yeah, sorry about that. But let's say that I give you the exact same explanation using the whiteboard. Okay, let's see if I remember everything correctly. So yeah, basically what I said is like the character viewer is a separate environment from the game. This is the game itself, and this is the character viewer, which is totally separated from the game itself. And then inside the character viewer, what we're gonna put is an sphere which is gonna block the light from here. Imagine this is the sun of the game. So yeah, the light is coming here and is getting blocked by this so that we don't get fog, colors, etc. And yeah, inside the character viewer itself, we're gonna put a entry of the avatar, which is gonna be this little guy right here, and we are gonna let the players move and rotate the character so that they can see it at different angles. And this is gonna trigger also the controller events so that it has better game feel. And we are gonna put, I don't know, a little interface here, a carousel, and we are gonna have here the controls. Even if I'm terrible at drawing, which is true, as you can see, I think this is a much clear explanation of the mechanic in general. Like if you think of someone who is not very technical, like an artist or an animator or even someone on the production, human resources, marketing, etc., they are probably not going to fully understand the first explanation because they lack technical context, so to speak. But yeah, if someone looks at this drawing, especially if it was drawn by someone who has better drawing skills than myself, they probably have a general idea of what you are talking about. And if you bring this to meetings in which, I don't know, the stakeholders or the publisher or even the game director is there, you're probably gonna have an easier time explaining your ideas because you have some visual representation of them. At least that was very useful for me because, you know, a big part of working on a collaborative team like video games, you can guess, is like convincing other people of your ideas, convincing them that your ideas are the best. Especially on programming and design, I think that's a big part of the job. Like for example, let's say we were working together on a mechanic, on a throwing mechanic, for example, which is something I did on my last company. And we were taking a look at, I don't know, Plague Tale, The Last of Us, etc. And we were decided how to handle the throwing itself, and I want to explain to you how I will approach it. I will probably use a drawing because I can just draw a scenario in which the mechanic is used. For example, let's say that we are going to use an spline management system. Like, for example, I will tell you that, yeah, the player is going to start the throw, is going to enter in the throw state. This is going to count that the game throws an spline looking for some point in the environment to collide with. Let's say here is a box. So yeah, we are going to collide there. And once that point is reached, the game is going to spawn a projectile which is going to follow the exact same path of the spline, and then it's going to get destroyed here. Again, I think this is much more easy to understand for other people than simply saying that, yeah, we are going to use an spline and a simulation, and when the spline find a collision with this channel, we are going to spawn the projectile on the hand of the player, and the projectile is going to go all the way to the collision, and then it's going to get destroyed, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, one little trick about whiteboards that I think it's so underrated is that they are a great tool for controlling the goddamn meetings. If you're a game developer, you know how awful meeting can get. Like, we usually have meetings to prepare for the fucking meetings. Like, I'm very passionate about meetings because I think they are completely useful in 90% of the time, but yeah, let's say that you need to go along with the meetings of your company. You probably have your daily, your weekly, sprint retro, etc. And you know this feeling that you have been in a meeting for 2 hours and you got nothing out of it? Some conversation started flowing and people started just attacking each other, and they are not even concerned about what the meeting was about. And I think this is mostly because usually meetings lack order in general. Like, we have people all over the world, usually in remote, talking on top of each other without following a guidance or whatnot, and we don't have any resource to stop the conversation from overflowing, if that makes sense. But if we have a whiteboard, I remember a producer of mine who is really good at his job, you know who you are if you are watching this video, used to have kind of a structure for the meetings using a whiteboard. And I don't know, maybe the first thing which is really useful in general and is very easy is that anything that is said in the meeting is gonna get written. This way, when someone is talking, nobody can talk on top of that person, because the producer, usually, which is leading the meeting, should set like, please stop talking because I'm writing down what the other person is saying, and this way an argument cannot come up. But then if you are working on a Scrum based methodology, which I guess you are, you can just use like little tickets, physical tickets even, on the whiteboard to know, okay, this is what is in progress, this is what's done, this is, I don't know, what is working, what is not working, you know the drill with the Scrum methodology. The point is that when the meeting is done, you can just screenshot this whiteboard and see what all the meeting was about. It's like you are generating documentation as you are having a meeting. And yeah, usually if you give someone the pencil and they need to draw on the whiteboard as they are talking, they are probably less likely to start talking about something else, if that makes sense. Oh, by the way, if you are finding these scenarios relatable to your work, I think you will like very much my newsletter, because it's basically a place in which I explain things like that happen on my work as a game developer, and I try to explain every week one concept and how you can apply it to your own life to improve it. So yeah, there's a link in the description below. You know the rest, is completely free, you can unsubscribe at any time. And before I leave, let me tell you 3 quick tips to make the most out of whiteboards in game development. The first and most obvious one is to keep things simple. Like, don't try to make it too complicated with tons of different brushes, tickets, colors, etc. Because I feel like sometimes if you are getting in the habit of doing those things, you are just procrastinating over the important task. So yeah, just get a simple whiteboard like this one, and maybe you can get, I don't know, if you work in a big team, you can get one of those which go in the wall and people can always write and put pins, etc. That's really nice. And please, for the love of God, always take picture of your whiteboards, because I cannot tell you how many times I have lost work because I didn't record it and someone else came and erased the whiteboard and I lost everything. So yeah, always take pictures of what you draw on the whiteboard, or even leave a little post-it saying please don't erase. And just to wrap up the video, I really think that if you build this habit of using visual learning tools on your work, you're gonna stand out very easily in your work, because this is not something that everybody does, and especially in game development, I think we lack a little bit of proactivity in our explanations, if that makes sense. So yeah, this is a pretty easy thing to do, it's a no-brainer, it's cheap, it's fun, so yeah, just do it and enjoy getting more results on your work. And if you want to keep improving on your career using just little things that nobody does, I have a video here talking about specifically one skill that I have used over all of my year as a game developer, which I think is pretty easy, it's fun, and yeah, it has really good results, at least for me. So yeah, I hope you find it helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon. Bye bye.